Hello, hello, hello. Just let me know. I don't know if there's anyone here yet. So I will give it just a moment. Tali! Hey! Mandy! Hello, hello, hello. Morgan! Hello. Hey everyone! I hope you guys are okay. So I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat as well. Terry! Lovely to have you. All right. So hopefully the thumbnail let you know why I am here. And I hope you enjoy it. So I've got a few things that I'm going to get into. I just want to say thank you so much for being here, whether you're watching this right now or whether you're going to be watching it later. It does mean the absolute world. Charmaine Jackson in the chat there, hello, 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 is my actual sister in real life. Hey, Nivak, Kavguru, as I like to call you, because you really are a constant for me. Sophia, lovely to have you. So let me know, guys, in the comments, where are you? Where are you hailing from right now? Where are you joining me from in your abode into my abode at this moment in time? Cav is in NYC. I can't wait to visit. Awesome. Awesome to have you. Thank you. Thank you. I think Bonnie said she's from South Africa. That's amazing. Madeira Island, Boston, Massachusetts, in the New Forest. Hey, so you're close. Rhode Island, Queen's Wisdom, lovely to have you. Good to see you here. Worcestershire, originate from Southeast London, from Lincoln. I actually lived in Lincoln for a while. Beautiful place, really. Aquarianess is in London. Hello from Connecticut. Susan! Lovely to have you. Thank you so much. Denmark. Hello from Arizona. Wow. That's what I love. Like, it's just crazy how many like international peoples are here. So I just want to say massive thank you so much for being here from Australia, Bahamas. I am here in the UK. It's a little bit cold at the minute. I got my really fancy, classy Sports Direct mug here. If you're from the UK, you know it's not classy at all, but I love it because it's a giant mug. All right, so I'm going to get straight into it. I will try to keep it short and twee. And also because there's not really a lot going on with this moon. It's quite an interesting one. And I promise I will find a way to put the chart on the screen when I'm doing a live stream. So we're going back to doing the full moon and the new moon as a live stream. So I hope you're interested. You're interested. I hope you enjoy it. So we are here to talk about the Aries new moon. So this is a big deal for so many reasons, right? We've already had one big change. Saturn moved into Pisces on the 7th of March. We've still got Pluto that is going to move out of Capricorn and into the sign of Aquarius. That's happening on the 23rd. So that's like literally 2 days after this new moon. So it is kind of a herald in a sense, right? And then on top of that, we've got Mars moving out of Gemini and into the sign of Cancer. Now, the Aries new moon, in the old world, the Aries new moon represented the springtime, right? Like this was the true birth of the year. So in astrology circles, they call it like the birth of the zodiac. So if you've been with me long enough, if you've been following me on socials and here on YouTube, you will have seen on the community tab, right? I did that the whole BOS project. So that started last year in Aries season. So with the birth of the zodiac zodiac. I started posting about all the different signs whenever we came into that season. So this is the birth of the year. This is, really in essence, the true start of the new year, as it were. If you follow like the rhythms and the cycles and the patterns of the seasons and stuff, this is kind of really where it begins, right? Now, the interesting thing about this Aries new moon is it literally, so Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, right? Cardinal fire, this driving force of energy that is all about forward momentum, moving forward, pushing ahead, what I want, what I desire, what I know to be about myself, all of those things, right? Aries is definitely the sign of the self. So the fact that we've got a new moon, right, which is where the sun and the moon come together, that's a new moon, at 0 degrees, right? So at the very start, right at the beginning of the first sign of the zodiac, we have this new moon. And that for me is kind of really powerful. Now, in terms of the tarotic energies, the Fool card is 0 energy, right? And whenever you see 0, we're not necessarily just talking about what, you're not talking about, a specific type of energy. You're talking about all energy. So 0 energy is what I like to call the cosmic womb, right? So this is something brand new, some initiatory force that's being brought into the world with this new moon. And it is a powerful one for that reason, because it's right at the start of the Aries energy. Now, to couple this, we have the Emperor as well. And the reason we have the Emperor is because the Emperor is Aries energy, right? So you get these two together. What could we say about this on the world stage? Potentially a new leader, the changing of the guard in some way, the changing of hands, the changing of power and the hands that it rests in. Definitely possible. This could be someone taking charge, moving ahead, a new leader in some way, shape, or form. It could just as easily be a new institution. It could just as easily be a new school. It could just as easily be a new authority figure, right? There's so many ways we could read this, and I could go into that ad nauseum, but I won't. Now, this is also accompanied by a set of really weird energies, because the connections that the moon is making aren't exact. And the reason they're not exact is because they're in what's known as like a dissociated energy. So if you get in a trine or a sextile, it has to be between specific types of elements, right? But these aspects that are being made, the ones that I'm going to focus on for each sign anyway, they're not exact because they're not happening in the signs that they need to happen. So what we're looking at really is things by orb, as opposed to by their like the official elements, etc., that you would need, right? So it's just a really interesting new moon for that reason. Now, the Fool card welcomes something new into our lives. And the thing about Fool card energy, it's always something that you don't know, something that you don't expect, something that you can't, something that you don't already have knowledge, wisdom, or something to back it up in your storehouse. So what I mean by this is the Fool card tends to be a very fated or destined kind of energy, because it represents that wild card, something that is unknowable. So you just kind of have to deal with it as and when. Now, Aries as a sign is very brave, right? Energetic, passionate, right? Direct, very forceful. The Emperor energy is very much about how we control our personal force, right? Our personal authority. So in some way, shape, or form, this is us all really tapping into our, our self-sustaining energy, and maybe finding a new direction to go in that brings us personal power in some way, shape, or form. So one of the aspects that this new moon is making is a sextile to Pluto. Now, this is interesting for a few reasons, because obviously Pluto is right at the tail end of Capricorn, and then it's going to come into the sign of Aquarius. Now, because Aries is a fire sign energy and Aquarius energy is air, these are complementary elements, and that's where we get that sextile from. But at the time of the new moon, Pluto is still hanging around on that 29th degree of Capricorn. So while it is a sextile, it's not a true sextile because the elements are kind of out of whack. Now, and that's, it's what's known as a dissociated sextile, I guess, right? Now, one of the ways that I kind of see this in a sense is it's kind of giving us a heads up of this is about to shift. This is about to change, right? Cardinal signs are all about what's new, all about what's next. And this Aries new moon is happening in the first, the first sign of the zodiac that is cardinal energy. What is new? What is next? We're letting go of the past. We're releasing the past now. On top of that, the new moon is square to Mars, which is and again, it's not like a correct square because Mars at this point is at 28 of Gemini. So you've got the ruler of the moon, Mercury, is in the sign of Aries, and you've got Mars, which is, effectively the host to Mercury, is in Gemini. So what we've got there is what's known as a mutual reception. And this, for me, is actually really handy because it feels like it's, we've had this Mars-Neptune square for quite a while, right? It's been bringing all sorts of confusion, all kinds of brain fog, all kinds of BS. I'm not going to swear because I realize I'm live streaming and I don't want YouTube to shut me down, which they probably will. And so what really rings true here, I feel like this is smoothing the edges off of some of what probably had, we've all probably had some quite tough or challenging conversations or, potentially, fallouts, etc. So this is kind of giving this a smoother edge, which is nice. And then finally, the other thing that I wanted to focus on, and obviously, as I said, Mars is in Gemini. So it's not in the sign of Cancer where it would kind of need to be in order for it to be a square. It is there by orb, but not by element. So there's a lot of really weird kind of not quite happening energy at this time. So the Snap Hat says that this is, all right, so I am an Aries sun at 1 degree and your godmum is at 0 degrees. So you guys are really going to feel this one, right? Like use that as well. If you've got Aries, we've all got Aries in our chart, but if you've got prominent things in your chart in Aries, especially around that 0 degree, use this new moon, right? And then finally, the last thing that I'm going to be focusing on for each one of the signs is the Saturn sextile to the North Node. Now, this is a true sextile because Saturn is at 1 degree of Pisces, and the North Node will be at 4 degrees of Taurus, right? So that is like a true connection, which I actually think is going to be quite steadying and stabilizing for the energies that are around at this time. It's definitely a moment to get real about the spirituality, but it's also about how your spirituality grounds into the reality and supports whatever the new moon is kind of setting into motion for you. That leads me nicely on to the next point that I wanted to make. So whenever we're looking at a new moon, it's not just the event on the day, right? No astrological chart. Whenever you look at a chart, what you're looking at is a specific moment in time that is going to unfold, right? Just like people, just like the tide, just like trees, just like everything. Your chart breathes, it undulates, it oscillates. Don't you just love those words? I love the way that they just roll off of the tongue. I'm such a geek. But your chart or the chart of something will breathe. Now, in terms of the moon's cycle, I like to liken the moon cycle as a pregnancy, right? So the new moon is that point of conception where the divine masculine and feminine energies will come together and they will connect, right? So a new moon is celestial mum and dad getting it on, if you like, to bring something into being. And this one's happening in the sign of Aries. So this is a conception point. It's a fresh start or a new beginning in some way, shape, or form. So before we start, as always, or should I say before I move on, as always, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So I'm going to pop these to the side and we'll get started. So I thought, because it is Pisces season and we are about to literally, be done with Pisces season in like 5 days from this moment, I think I'm going to start with Pisces this time round. I know it's the Aries New Moon, and I know a lot of people are probably going to be like, hang on a sec, this is the Aries New Moon. What are you doing? But you know what? We're still in Pisces season, and Pisces very rarely gets to go first. So let's do it a little bit differently, right? Okay, so for Pisces, this is taking place, this new moon in Aries is taking place for you in your second house. This is all to do with your earning potential and your earning power. It's also the space in your chart that deals with self-esteem, self-worth, self-love, self-values, right? It's what you really do value. Now, this is really, in effect, this could be bringing you a powerful look at your finances. Now, at the time of this new moon, there is a lot of energy happening in the sign of Aries, right? So for you, this is in your second house of money, finances, resources. So we've got the sun there, we've got the moon there, we've got Chiron in Aries, we've got Mercury in Aries, and if that wasn't enough, we've also got Jupiter in Aries. That's 5 energies in that second house for you. So this is really amping up your finances and also potentially your earning potential. So I like this for a dynamic push to value yourself a lot more. And I really like this for you getting clear on the value that you're bringing to things in order to kind of amplify your earning potential. So you're seriously considering sort of everything right now about how you're using your energies, but also really how you see yourself, and starting to really understand how much more valuable you are than you realize effectively. So in terms of the sextile to Pluto, this is taking place between your 11th and 2nd, which again, it's not because of the way that they're connecting. So I find it interesting that both of these energies equate to the number 2. Now, aside from that, obviously, because obviously 11, if you were to add it up, it gives you the number 2. This is kind of you tapping into your network or potentially your friendship group. It might see you joining a community of some sort. It might also see you squeezing the community that you've got to get the juice out of it. So where is it that you can maybe kind of get more out of the connections that you've got that you're not really thinking about at the moment? Now, because Pluto is a magnetic energy, it's likely to bring you what you need through attraction or discovery, as opposed to kind of you getting into it, even though it is a new moon in the sign of Aries, which is go-getting energy, and a sextile is an opportunity. Then you've got the square to Mars, so this is taking place between your second house and fourth house. It's an interesting one because of that dissociation, but it does suggest that conversations about home, property, money, with home, property, family, for some of you, this is deciding whether to buy or whether to sell. It might also be that there are issues or challenges with or around contracts when it comes to property, or issues with agreements that are being made or kept around home, property, and family. So watch out for that as well. Then for the last part of it, you've got Saturn sextile to the North Node. So this is happening between the 1st and the 3rd house. This, I think, is you getting a lot more serious about your skill set and your prospects, maybe even starting to build stronger connections. There might be a fated interaction of some sort that happens in your local area, because the 3rd house is your local area, right? So that 1st house, Saturn is in your 1st house now. It's been in there since 10 days you've had of this. So Pisces gang, actually, for those of you that are out there, how have you been feeling since Saturn entered your sign? Us Aquarians are out here like, tag you it now. But if you are a Pisces, sun, moon, or ascendant, let me know. How have you been feeling since Saturn came into your sign? Might also be that a job offer comes in, and it could be that a connection to or in your local community may provide new work. It's very possible. So Queen's Wisdom says she's feeling super productive, and I love that, right? So you're obviously tapping into that Saturn already. We like it. So your card is the Eight of Wands. Speaking of productivity, look at that, right? So Pisces, you've got the Eight of Wands, which suggests this new moon is going to be a very busy one for you. It potentially sets a lot of things into motion. So there's text messages, emails, phone calls. There's going to be information communication bouncing back and forth. It's about to get busy up in his eye for the Pisces. All right. So if you are celebrating just before, if you're right at the end of Pisces, I wish you all a happy solar return. You know, Rafi loves you. And we will get into Aquarius, right? So my sun sign brothers and sisters, it is your turn. So this new moon in the sign of Aries is happening for you in your third house. The third house of the chart is the neighborhood. It's the siblings, the cousins, it's communications, conversations, it's writing skills, speaking skills, contracts, daily patterns. Not like your sixth house is your routines, but your third house is your patterns, like the things that you're doing on a sort of daily kind of level. It's more like the hustle and bustle. So this is like your local environment, your neighborhood might be very busy, very active at this time. You might be, really busy or active in that space as well. It might very well be a possibility. So it could also see you getting more acquainted with people in your locality. So you might be spending more time with people. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. You might be spending more time with people, finding new people to hang around with. Maybe, you're meeting people in the local area. Now, if you've got or had any issues with siblings, or maybe you just haven't seen them for a while, this could really be the energy that you need to reverse that. So the sextile between Pluto and the new moon, right? And again, it's that dissociated one, but it's a sextile nonetheless. So it's giving you an opportunity to create a very intense energy. It's also, and the reason I say this is for you guys, I kind of feel like it might bring something back up from the past that needs to be looked at. It may be around a financial matter, very possible. And I'll get into this a little more sort of later down the line when we get into your last bit, Aquarius. But Pluto comes into your sign literally 2 days after this new moon. So the feeling of kind of that you've got, that's going to start to come in for a while. Now, one thing that I want you to know about Pluto coming into your sign. In the film, I think it's the Wolverine origin. I always give this example, but I love it because it's just so awesome. In the Wolverine origin story, whether you loved or loathed the film or not, this lyric is amazing. And he says to him, we're going to make you indestructible, but in order to do that, we're going to have to completely destroy you. This is kind of the energy of what Pluto is going to do for Aquarius, right? Are you ready to be your best self, your most unbreakable self? Are you ready to be the version of you that has literally risen up from what you thought you couldn't? Because that's what this is going to give you the power for. So I love this, right? Now, for some of you, this could be a correspondence, a letter, or a phone call of some sort that comes in that provides you an opportunity to get ahead. So pay attention to that. Now, because of the square to Mars, this is happening between the third house of this new moon and Mars over in the fifth house, in that dissociated energy. They're in a mutual reception, right? So Mars and Mercury are in a mutual reception, which is softening the edges. It's smoothing off the edges in some way. And I like this for a big sort of, you almost like you're getting a deeper insight and ready to share more verbally and vocally about who you are now, right? And this is also you kind of sort of drawing a line potentially and saying, I'm no longer willing or to be treated a certain way. Creative ideas and endeavors might be ramping up in production at this time, getting creative. So if you've got like a really long list of things that need to be done, get like an A3 pad out and just start going at it hammer and tongs to see what's there. And then finally, for the sextile, the Saturn sextile to the North Node, this is happening between your second and your fourth houses. So some potentially fateful news about your home, property, family. Saturn obviously is your ruling planet and is now in, the ancient ruler of Aquarius is Saturn. And Saturn is now in the sign of Pisces. So this is your second house, effectively. What kind of really sits with me with this as well is it's a sextile, which it means that there might be an opportunity here to make money, but it will come over time. So whatever's set into motion with the new moon, it is going to develop really well, but it will take time to develop, right? Remember, Saturn doesn't give anything immediately. And then finally, for the fourth house, which is hosting the North Node, it's a very spiritual energy. So this might be some kind of family wisdom or knowledge that becomes useful when it comes to money. So pay attention to what your elders are telling you around this time. For this, you've got the Eight of Swords, right? So this suggests that there is going to be some kind of impasse at this time, but the Aries new moon is giving you like the energy or the push that you need behind it to kind of break through some kind of barrier. It might also be as well for a lot of you Aquarian people, how you've done something up until now may not cut the mustard, and this might be a time or a moment where you say, okay, you know what, that's it, we're done, right? It's done, it's over, next, moving on. So that's what I've got for you, my lovely Aquarians. For the Capricorns among you, this new moon is happening in your fourth house of home, family, property sector. It's a fresh start in your home as well for a lot of you. Something's definitely changed or shifted here. And this new beginning, it might be in your home environment, or it might also see you start to rediscover or redefine what you believed home to be. Because sometimes home really isn't necessarily a place. Sometimes it's a people. Sometimes it's a person that you find home in, right? It could also be a really good time to purge stuff. So if there's things that you want to get rid of, this is a good time to do that, actually, right? To push ahead, especially if you've got things like repairs and things like that to do. I also, as well, one of the things that I'd written here for you guys was, I feel like this is going to be some kind of secret discussion that takes place. So some sort of discussion that maybe happens with the family, in the family, or in the home that is kind of behind closed doors, as it were. Whatever's going on, you're not sharing. So the new moon in a sextile to Pluto is happening between your first house. So that's you. Pluto is at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So hanging on for dear life in your own sign, right? Potentially seeing you looking and being very honest about whether the place that you live in is now ready for review. So this could be the actual home, or it could even be who you live with. If anybody out of all of the signs has been truly regenerated, from the ground up now, it's you guys, because you've had that Pluto transit. Now, the square to Mars between the fourth house and the sixth house, this energy combines in a kind of harmonious way, right? Because we've got that, even with the Mars-Neptune square, we've got Mercury and Mars in a mutual reception. And this is important because Mercury is in Mars's sign, Mars is in Mercury's sign. And this is important because the host of the new moon that's happening is Mars. But because of that connection that they have, it's kind of softened somewhat. It's going to give you what you need to get the clearest sense of energy. And also, it's going to give you what you need to kind of say what needs to be said at work, maybe even to delineate what it is that you need on a daily basis to do with your work. So it's kind of like, if you want the best out of me when I come here every day to give you my 8 to 12 hours, whatever it is that you work, this is what I need from you. All right, so you've got the drive, the mental agility, obviously, because you're a Capricorn, but to do what needs to be done and kind of say what needs to be said. Saturn in a sextile to the North Node between your third and your fifth houses. It's a much better energy for you. And if it is your ruling planet, I I kind of like this for you, right? Because it's kind of like the sucker that you need to thrive, like new responsibilities, new ways of doing things. This is effectively you getting kind of fired up and excited about what you're doing because you're learning or taking on new skills, but things that are going to carry you sort of forward into new sort of ways. There's definitely a sense that this new moon allows you to excel in some way. Could be new things as well to do with your children, or a new set of responsibilities around your children if you have them. Could also be for some of you as well that children come to you by circumstance. So if you've been trying to adopt, or you have a sibling or something like that that isn't able to look after their children, or basically says, look, I'm at my wit's end, I'm sending them to be with you for a while so that I can ... I kind of see that this might be a thing for a few Capricorns, like you inherit children somehow. So it would be interesting to see how that shows up. Your card is the Hanged Man. So your message for this new moon is basically just to see where it takes you, but also to know when you are kind of not overstepping, but when you're giving too much. One of the things with Capricorn, don't worry, I won't tell anyone, you guys are a lot softer than you're given credit for, and very often a lot kinder than people realize. And so I almost want to say to you, with that Hanged Man, you do need to consider what is either good for you or not good for you, and where the lines might be need to be drawn. Okay. So for my Saggy crew, Sagittarius, this new moon for you is happening in your 5th house. This is about pleasure, joy, fun, romance. It is fun, joy, and expressive. And the fact that it's also the house of your authentic self-expression, like, when you have a giggle and it kind of bubbles up out of you and it just escapes out of your mouth, that's 5th house stuff. It's also the house of speculative gambles, house of children. If you have them, your children can be, your babies can be your projects. They can be your business as well. It doesn't always have to be like an actual child. Now, this could see you feeling immense joy. You could be making new connections if you're single. Maybe you're making promises or pacts with your children. If you've got them, this could be where you say to your kids, like, you know what, we haven't been away in forever, and I'm taking you away in the summer to do ... Or maybe your kids are older and they've got kids of their own, and you say, you know what, let's make a pact that every 3 months we get together and have a massive garden party. Or do you know what I mean? Just something that gives you like that really wonderful sense of, yeah, I'm going to do this for the future. If you're partnered, maybe you're having serious talks about having children where maybe previously you didn't. And I do feel like this new moon potentially has the energy of a few reversals around it. So if you've been in a partnership and you say, actually, you know what, I don't want kids, this might be where you kind of change your mind. So in the sextile to Pluto between the 2nd and the 5th houses, the obvious one is that, children begin to cost more money. But it could also be that it's an investment for something, because the 5th house is speculative endeavors. So for that reason, this could be, maybe you think to yourself, okay, I'm going to get brave, I'm going to get educated as well, because Mercury is also in the sign of Aries at the moment. And you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to find out where the best place is to put my money right now and what to do it. And it's maybe like you've got like a little gambling spirit, because the 5th house is gambles. So maybe you put on like a small bet, it's like you do this out of fun, but the result could be amazing. Now, if you are going to do any kind of gambling, please don't put the house, the car, the wife, the kids on the roulette table. That would just be ridiculous. Okay. Now, the square to Mars, it's, like I say, this mutual reception. So Mars in Mercury sign, Mercury in Mars's sign. So this is softening that connection. Even though they're not connecting directly, it's softening the energy that could be a little bit sort of wild, let's say. Friends from the past could be coming in here for sure. And if you've had any challenges or issues with friends, maybe things got a bit terse or whatever, you could hash it out with them, but progress could actually be made. It's well worth having the conversation, even if it doesn't mend something. It's definitely worth closing it down right, if that makes sense. And then finally, the Saturn sextile to the North Node. This is fourth house, sixth house stuff for you. So between your home and family and your daily grind, it might be that a parent or a sibling or even a neighbor comes through for you in a way that helps you clarify like what your work is or isn't doing for you or is going to be from now on. I really like this for some of you rebranding as well, for like products, product launches. This could be great. If you are going to launch a product or a project or, you know, some new business, etc., set the intention on the 23rd, on the 21st, on the day of the new moon, but don't make a what's the word that I'm looking for? Don't make any sort of actual moves on it until until the 23rd. All right, just like wait until then, because then the energy is a lot better. Okay, so for the Sagittarius, you have the Nine of Pentacles. All right, so I love this. This is, I mean, the Nine of Pentacles on its own is beauty, you know, very abundant kind of energy, but it's also an energy that speaks to what I like to call like refinement. This is actually Venus in Virgo, so it's got a practical element to it. And so what I really want to say to you is this new moon is giving you everything that you need in a creative sense to really draw from the well of joy, happiness, and abundance. So you really need to get into that and enjoy it. Like be kind of present with you, more present with it, if you like. Okay, so Scorpio, my dear stingers, this for you is happening in your sixth house. A fresh start in the area of your body, your health routines, your daily grind. This I actually think could see you quite energized right now, even though it is a new moon, so it's not full strength or anything. But what I find intriguing as well is obviously this is your, you know, sibling sign. You, after all, you and Aries were originally both sort of ruled by Mars, right? Until Pluto came along. But you've got like an energy that you can get into with this. You know how to do this. Okay. So I really like this, especially with this concentration in the sixth house. This is you really looking after yourself. This is you really taking time to think about what you need, what you want, what you desire in order to be at your best, in order to be at your optimal. It's like, what do I need on a physical level? What do I need in my, you know, my environment? What are my routines contributing to right now? The sextile to Pluto between the 3rd and the 6th, I like this for realizing the power of some kind of skill that you've got, or understanding a new way to leverage knowledge that you've already got. So this is like heading into new territory, but it might cover like health, vitality, also helps you understand yourself more on a microcosmic level. So because the 3rd house connection as well, I really like this for maybe you find like a really good source of what's the word that I'm looking for? Like maybe you find a good source for produce, right? Vegetables, maybe some kind of herbal or natural concoctions or stuff. It's like maybe you find the right person for you to supply you with things that you need in order to support yourself in this way. Now that's square to Mars, with the Mercury and Mars mutual reception. I like this for you getting to the root cause of something that you might feel is blocking your progress. And because the 8th house connection, the 8th house is an occult house. So this might be a really good time to, you know, not necessarily with me, I mean just in general, this might be a really good time to go and get a tarot reading or an astrology reading. It might be a really good time to get to the sort of deeper stuff so that you can find, I mean, all of the spiritual sciences right now might be really really helpful in you getting ahead or really sort of optimizing your life, your body, your health, your environment. The thing that I will say to you is, though, some of the answers could be sort of really spot on or really exact, or maybe highlight something to you that you weren't aware of, which is rare, but it is possible. And so you might really feel this. It might be like, oh shit, okay, sorry. I'm sorry, YouTube. Don't smack me. I won't do it again. And then Saturn in the sextile to the North Node. This is happening between the 5th and the 7th. I really, really like this for the partner. If you've got one, a collaborator, or even just like a really good friend, might provide you with the right sort of push that you need to get things sort of moving. Whatever you're seeding right now in terms of creating endeavors, they allow you to express some kind of deeper or harsher truth without losing your proverbial, I'm not going to do it again. It also looks like maybe securing funding or even leveraging assets. And if you've got children, potentially maybe you find a way to work with that energy as well. Like, so I had a friend who she said, like, whenever the kids were home, she got more creative naturally, like, so, and because she worked from home as well. So it could be something like that. For the Scorpios, you have the Knight of Wands. If ever this card were going to show up, now is probably a perfect time. This makes you passionate, dynamic, energetic. This is giving you the mojo that you need to really, drive something forward. And I really feel like this is in the area of your health, especially because it's a new moon in the 6th. That Knight of Wands is seeing you charging towards something. It's like, on a deep level, this is what I need. This is where I should be focusing. This is where I'm heading. So I really love this for you guys. For Libra, for you guys, this is happening in your 7th house, a fresh start when it comes to love, relationships, all of the possibilities of love and what that could mean for you. There's a massive concentration in the sign of Aries right now. So your partner, if you have one, is truly being lit up. And this is kind of the last new moon that we're going to have in your sign, in the sign of Aries and Libra, that isn't going to be without losing your sugar honey iced tea. Genius. I love it. Genius. Sorry, back to Libra. Don't distract me. This also is kind of preparation for the eclipses that are coming up, right? Pay attention to the universal heads up. Now, if you're married, partnered, or have a significant other, their life might really take a boost at this time. So if you're single, it's very likely to see you not being single if that's what you want moving forward. So with the sextile to Pluto between the 4th and the 7th, remember it's a dissociated sextile effectively. If you work from home or you've got unfinished karma with a home or around familial stuff, especially where it comes to money or finances, this is actually a really good chance to rectify that, to set a new intention, to really kind of say, I'm going to do something differently here. It's also as well, there's a sense of being able to emancipate yourself from a tie that has previously bound too tight. Maybe creating a stronger sense of community with the familial ties as well. So, could kind of go either way, pretty much like yourselves. The square to Mars between the 7th and the 9th. It is a potential that some of the career plans that you had, I like it for being able to communicate with a partner about or with like a serious contractual sort of energy to say, this doesn't work for me, right? That's square to Mars. So it's almost like you're saying to a partner or a collaborator or someone, actually, I can't do this right now, or this isn't working for me, especially if it feels too restrictive for you. And it's kind of like you say this and you just you're resolute about it and it cuts it. So I like that. And then the sextile between Saturn and the North Node between the 6th and the 8th house. Are you ready to work harder in some area of your life to bring in more money and blessings? Or also, are you ready to honor yourself in a greater way? Like, this is cranking things up so that your ruler, Venus, in her sibling sign or the earthly domicile of Taurus, it means that you're able to sense your own magnetic and attractive power and really amplify that. It's like Saturn's bringing you a solid blessing and it's helping you draw in more of those kind of attractive qualities that you have, especially in sex and in money, right? And the two are inexorably, like inextricably linked. So, hey, listen, if you've got a partner, use your tantric energies to draw more money to you. That could definitely be a way to work this as well. Even enhancing your health and vitality as well with some kind of energy work, spiritual practice, or even potentially through tantra or sexual healing. Very, very possible. Your energy, of course it would be. So you've got the King of Wands, right? So you are Libra. This new moon is in Aries. The King of Wands is Aries energy. With such a concentration in your 7th house of Aries, this makes total sense to me. However, this card is for you. And so this new moon is basically saying, while the energy is all over in the 7th house, you need to claim your visibility within your relationships, partnerships, and connections. Okay, so this is about really finding a way to be present and also visible within your connections. Big wand energy, faux show. All right, so Virgo, this new moon in Aries for you is happening in the 8th house. This might really provide you with some kind of deep insight into your primal nature. It might see you get in touch with some of your repressed, with maybe some of the desires that you've repressed, things that you've wanted. Remember, Aries is a sign that wants what it wants. And the 8th house is the taboo, right? It's sex, death, taxes, other people's money. It's the space where we kind of decide what we like enough to want to. So your personal desires might come up right now, or bubble up from the depths in a really big way, or start to grow from here on. It's also other people's money, so it's highlighting where you're ready to start receiving more money from other people. So that could be really nice. Sextile to Pluto. Sorry, one thing that I've forgotten here is it might be that you're ready to start receiving money from others, and you're kind of really open to whatever or whoever has offers for you, which could be really nice, because usually Virgo's like, no, I've got it, I'll do it, it's fine. Whereas this is you kind of, opening it up. So the sextile to Pluto between the 5th house and the 8th house. Sextiles always provide us with an opportunity, but we've got to work it to get the goods. Now, for you guys are natural grafters. If someone's a grafter here in the UK, a grafter is someone that we call like a hard worker. So this could be highlighting where your desires around whether you want or don't want children are starting to shift. Very possible. We had that for Sagittarius as well, but for you guys, I think it will be a lot more prominent. Might also be where an idea that allows you to find new ways of pulling money in from people. It's creative and it's fun, and it's a sense of like unbridled kind of energy where it's like you just want to do what you want to do, right? I love it. Now, the square to Mars, even with that mutual reception, your ruling planet Mercury is in the sign of Aries, and that is being hosted by Mars, which is in Gemini. So this is kind of okay. I don't think it's going to be as intense for that reason, but it's happening between your 8th and your 10th houses of your career. So it's kind of like there's a sense that you know what you want to say and how to say it, and it's having an effect on your most public self. So the conviction is there. There's a bravery to this, I think, for Virgos more than anything else. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, yeah, I'm going for this. And this, I actually think for you guys, aside from probably Aries, you will be feeling like the bravery energy from this more than any other sign. And it's kind of like whatever you're going after, it might not necessarily be easy, but it is damn sure going to be worth it, right? And there's a breakthrough here somewhere for you guys. So with the Saturn energy, Saturn sextile the North Node between the 7th and the 9th house. Remember, they're all, no, this one is actually a true sextile because Saturn is in Pisces and the North Node is in Taurus. A fated conversation or interaction with a partner or a collaborator helps you get a clearer sense of what the future looks like. So with Venus in your 9th house as well, maybe you're getting favor from like teachers, mentors, coaches. The connection kind of suggests that new responsibilities are coming in that you hadn't maybe thought of or counted on, but it's almost like you're kind of welcoming it. It's like you're like, yeah, you know what, it's okay, I can do this, I can work hard for this because I know the results are going to be good, right? For this look at that, right? You have the Emperor. That is crazy. Like, yeah, so Virgo, you are for it, right? This is you establishing not only a stronger sense of self and authority, but it's also you commanding the space of this new moon and saying, right, okay, this is the direction that I'm taking it in. And more importantly, I now understand how to redefine or reestablish the lines of, or even the definition of self. So I kind of really like that. Elizabeth is giving me life today. Even bigger fire wand energy. You know the King of Wands got that wands, isn't it? All right. So for Leo, my ascendant brothers and sisters, you guys know I love you. So this new moon, and such a powerful concentration of energy in Aries, is in your 9th house. Now, remember, love you too, lady. Remember, the 9th house is, in old astrology, they call it the house of God, but it's a very lucky energy. It has the ability to connect us to something bigger, broader than ourselves, right? I love this for offers that come in from people that you have a sense of kinship with. I really like this for the start of the amplification of the voice of the Leo. Now, I've been saying this for a while, especially for those of you that are what I like to call the silent dignity types. You can't hide behind the curtain anymore. All right. Like if you want that next step, if you want that next level, if you want the this, you're going to have to start using your voice. You're going to have to start finding that visibility and getting into it. Okay. And the 9th house is publishing houses, it's books, blogs, it's even YouTube. This could be an amplification of your voice through any of the mediums that you kind of like or decide. This is also the house of legalities as well. So it might be a good time to tend to such things. So if you've got contracts, etc., that are happening, remember Aries is a go-getter energy, and this is a new moon, right? So you're starting potentially having a new contract come up. It's got some snags. So let's see what that might look like. So the sextile to Pluto is happening between the 6th and the 9th house. Rediscovery or reignition of your idea of service to the world, right, is part of this new moon. I wouldn't be surprised if you get a do-over with a family member, like if you've got a challenge or something to mend or to rift, this could be the time. This is also probably where a lot of you are doubling down on your health regimes or even taking things up a notch. Something in this, and when I wrote this, I put something in this screams amplification to me in a big way. It might also be the revealing or revelation, certainly maybe not at the time because a new moon still is a dark moon, but this could be like the beginning of the process of the unveiling of an enemy or someone that has been working at cross purposes to you that you've not been able to see. The challenge with this, I'm really sorry to say, it is Pluto after all, even if it is a sextile. You might be really surprised at what corner of your what corner of your world that energy comes from. All right. And I really hope I'm wrong on that front. The square to Mars between your 9th house and your 11th house. So, like I said, this is mitigated because Mars is in Mercury's sign and Mercury's in Mars's sign. So that mutual reception, there's an honesty here that sees you kind of drawing some lines and maybe not interested in connecting with. It's like you're setting the record straight in some way. With Neptune in the mix, it might be a feeling of not quite being sure about someone or something, but that's going to lift over the next couple of days. Mars will come into your 12th. So look, just going to be honest, in my heritage, part of my heritage is Greek, and we've got this saying, which is, it says, spao to kako. And what that means is it's usually like, you know, like when you're in, like sometimes when a glass or a plate or something smashes after like a big argument or whatever. And that roughly translates to the breaking of the sugar honey iced tea. Cheers, Elizabeth. And so when that happens, it's kind of like that. And I think that's what this Mars transit, when Mars comes into Cancer, for the Leos amongst you, it's going to bring something up for its final look. That's the good news. Now, the Saturn sextile to the North Node is happening between your 8th house and your 10th house. Work connections or contracts provide some kind of blessing at the moment, or maybe a conversation with somebody that holds you to account is offering you support or assistance to get on the road to success with something. I love this for you really needing to show up, but the goods being there if you do. Your intuition around career matters at this time is going to be fire. Trust it. It might really yield some amazing results. Venus in her home sign of your career at this moment in time, as well as bringing a much needed boost of attraction, right? So you're potentially not only more visible because Venus is there, and, you know, she's the brightest star in the sky besides the sun, right? And, you know, she twinkles and shimmers, and the fact that she's in your 10th house is kind of really helping to amplify you. Don't waste this, right? I don't care how silent your dignity is, honey. Okay, do not waste this energy. Do something with it. Your card, of course it is the Justice card, right? And the 9th house is the house of legality. So some kind of contract, some kind of legal matter, paperwork, contractual energy, potentially as well, some legal matter or issue comes to a close here. You know, maybe something comes to an end after a really difficult time, you know, and that Mars, I think, will do it. But the new moon in the 9th will also do it as well. Okay, so for Cancer, my lunar brothers and sisters, you guys know I love you. I got so much love and respect for my Cancer crew because we share, you know, it's my moon sign, and I'm very proud of that fact, you know. So for you, this is happening in your 10th house. So career seeds are being planted at this moment in time. Like, you are in the best and brightest mood, like you're in the best and brightest energy for movement within your career right now, because there's such a concentration in your 10th house. Now, if you're retired, you might find a sense of fulfillment from something that takes up the time and attention. It might also be that something new that you start now, that massive concentration of energy that's behind it, it's like you start this and it really feels right, like you really feel like, yes, you know what? So if you're retired and you're thinking, oh, well, career health, you know, what do I do with this? Whatever you are initiating, whatever you are putting your time, effort, and energy into right now, that's the thing that's going to grow. So use it wisely. Be really intentional about this. This is energy that you can lean into. It's energy that can amplify your reach by presenting yourself exactly as you are. So if you are employed, right, this is a great time to ask for that, the pay rise or the promotion. This is a great time, if you've got your own business, to maybe think about doing something that you can put out into the world to make visible, right? You yourself are being highlighted because the 10th house is your public awareness, your social status, how the world sees you, right? So I say this all the time, but radiant reality is me fulfilling my 10th house. Just to give you an example, if you're a student, this would be a great time to really look at how you can excel, right? Like getting ahead. So in the sextile to Pluto between the 10th and the 7th, new partnerships and contracts could be coming in for you, new ways of working, with other people, and, potentially as well, it could be really creative. You might find a lot of fun in doing this, especially through things like collaborations. If you're married, I'll get to that in just a moment, and it's because it's really sorry. I was just getting rid of the ads so that you guys don't get cut off, because I love you. It might be that you're either phasing. So if you're married or partnered, it might be that you're phasing or transitioning out of working with a partner, or maybe they've been working from home, maybe you've been working from home, and it's been really great to have, but this might be that kind of coming to an end now, or there's a change in the way that you do this. But either which way, it could be fun, and it might even be like really thought-provoking. So I love this for you. The square to Mars, we've got that mutual reception. The new moon is square to its dispositor, but the dispositor is the ruler is Mercury, and so Mercury is in Mars's sign, Mars is in Mercury's sign. That mutual reception, I think, is really nice, and it's smoothing off the harsh kind of edges that could potentially be there. It might some opportunity, because this is happening for you between the 10th and the 12th house. So maybe some career opportunity or connection or collaboration that had gone away, or maybe hadn't, panned out to what you wanted it to be, could come back here. You are going to need to make more time, space, and energy for it, though, especially because it helps you kind of start thinking about whether you're actually ready for the big reach or not. So with this much kind of visibility, you might kind of take a moment and say, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for all of that, actually. Right? So just getting clear on what is and isn't for you. And then finally, the Saturn sextile, the North Node, is happening between your 9th house and your 11th house. I like this for help coming through some kind of potential legal loophole. So maybe you've got something going on. Maybe there is a legal matter or thing going on in the background, and it's like through some kind of really lucky twist of fate, someone steps in. Maybe a person in a position of power shines on you. Maybe a friend kind of says, yes, you know what, actually, I can do this, this, and this. And it's like, you're just kind of like, wow, that literally came from the heavens, right? Like, you're like, where did, like, how is this happening? But it's exactly what you need. I like that this provides solid guidance and blessings in practical ways, just like the connections themselves that feel fated in some way. So there's an element of, yes, this is the right path. Yes, this is the right connection. All right. For this, you have the Two of Swords, a very psychic card, which basically speaks to your intuition, but it also speaks to the right thing, right? Justice being done in some way, shape, or form. And so what I like about this is it's almost like the universe's way of saying, yes, I've got your back. Trust your intuition. Even if you can't see around that corner, you can feel around that corner because you're a Cancerian and you've got a super powerful intuition, and you're going to be fine. All right, so Raf, I have just got a new dream job, as I've been looking after my mum for the past 8 years, and now life is absolutely amazing. I start on the 3rd of April and can't wait. Ah, dude, that is amazing. I'm very happy for you. Congrats, really. So for Gemini, this for you guys is happening in your 11th house. Now, you're already passionate about your friends and your community. It's where you thrive, and it's also where you shine, and your personal brilliance comes through because of the communication element. A fresh start in this space for you might be you reinventing or reigniting your passion to build a tribe. So you're starting to think longer term, right? Because it's in the 11th house. So you're thinking, what are my long-term goals? Where does this go far, far into the future? Where do I see myself 3 to 5 years from now? This is you starting to build something that you feel might be really special. Your community is going to bring you an introduction that feels like it has epic proportions. Somebody introduces you to the right person, like one of your connections, one of your friends, connections, networkers, whatever you might call it, has the hookup. And it's like you're just loving life, enjoying the connection, and then bam, somebody presents you with like this amazing connection, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. In the sextile to Pluto, this is happening between the 11th and the 8th house. If I were to say to you, my my voice is starting to go now. If I were to say to you, what other people think of me is none of my damn business, in the words of Mama Roo, then I would probably be right now talking to you. Pluto starting to wrap up that stay in your 8th house has probably really had you looking very deeply into your deepest sort of fears and really asking yourself, okay, what do I need to release here? Because the 8th house is your fears, but it's also your traumas, your wounds. Maybe sometimes it's your, not necessarily your best coping mechanisms. I mean, self-sabotage is more the 12th house, but we definitely see an element of that in the 8th. But it's like whatever you've learned through that transit of Pluto through your 8th house, now you're like, yes, I can apply this now. I can really use the stuff that I've learned trudging through my own deep sugar honey iced tea, right, to help other people in some really profound ways. And because you love options, this could be either very lucrative for you or potentially very sexy, or it could be both. So I mean, what more do you want? In the square to Mars, so this is your ruling planet, obviously is in mutual reception with Mars, which is a good thing because, effectively it's hosting the new moon. Mars is empowering your words. It's giving you really great advice that comes from the depths. And you're like, I don't know where this is coming from. I know, like, Gemini's smart, you're intelligent, you always have like a lot of, good information, but it's like right now you could be finding words and phrases and answers to things, and you're like, okay, I really don't know where it's coming from, but it's coming and it's hitting the nail on the head. This is, you've got your mojo back. You are ready to share it with the world. Maybe not on the day, but certainly from here on in. I love it. For the Saturn sextile to the North Node between the 10th house of career and the 12th house of the past, I like this for seeing round corners. Trust your intuition around this new moon, even if somebody else says to you, I'm not sure that's probable, or I can't see it, or whatever it might be. You got to trust it. All right. Like you really do. This is you right now, Gemini, you have the ability to see round corners. Use it. I also like this as well for you in a situation that maybe once upon a time would have sent you into a tailspin or made you feel really uncomfortable. But now it's just like a memory and you're like, oh gosh, and it's like spiritual blessings and realizations are coming thick and fast, and they're giving you the strength that you need to kind of say, I'm done with that. Yeah, I love it. So for your card, you have the 6 of Cups. I mean, if there were ever a way or a time to reframe the past or to see things differently, or to extract the beauty from your past and your memories and your experiences to turn them into wisdom in order to give them to somebody else, I mean, wow, right? This is one of the things that I love about tarot. Sometimes it just gets really literal and he's like, just give it to me straight. Speaking of giving it to you straight, just going to tell you all right now, I have a video that is coming up within the next couple of days that is going to upset the apple cart. All right, so I'm just letting you know right now because there are going to be some unhappy campers. And I did think about switching the comments off for said video, but I'm just going to leave them on because it's like, it is what it is. So you have been warned. Yeah, it's definitely gonna, yeah, it's gonna upset the apple cart for sure. So we'll see. Anyway, we'll see. I think my hardcore, my ride or dies. I think you guys are gonna love it. But I do perceive there being a few complaints about like what I say and how I say it and all the rest of it. And that's probably just part one, to be fair. So moving on to Taurus. This for you guys is happening in a very pivotal space because it's in your 12th house. Now, a new moon in the 12th house is initiating a brand new karmic cycle for you guys, right? Whatever seeds you're kind of sowing here, they will potentially take a long time to come because it is the 12th house. So whatever you're setting into motion, expect it to be around 12 months, before you start to really see traction with it. But don't be freaked out or surprises. Don't be freaked out or surprised if you start getting messages or remembering loved ones that have passed over, because the 12th house is the intangible. All right, so this is where we go after the world that we're living in now. It's also the spiritual world, the intangible world. This is what I like to call their realm, right? This is our realm here in the physical. Their realm is the realm beyond, that isn't physical, that isn't tangible. Dreaming of loved ones that have passed over, having messages from them, things bubbling up from the subconscious. It might also be a moment where you're trying to reignite your soul in some way. Remember, Aries is passion, fire, energy, driving forward, pushing forward, delving into, using every ounce of energy that you've got just to focus on the one task at hand. And this is happening for you in that intangible self. So this is kind of like, gosh, sorry, I know I give so many superhero analogies, but some of them really are the best for what I'm trying to convey. So I apologize if you don't know much about superhero stuff. That's just my inner nerd and geek showing itself as he pushes his glasses up. But if you ever heard Professor X talk about Jean Grey, he says the reason she's so powerful is because her mutant ability comes from a mutation in her subconscious, which means it's unbridled, untapped, pure potential, which means it's just pure everything. You've got Aries in the 12th house of the intangible. So you have the ability to pull really amazing things from there. You just have to find a way to tap into it. That may be through the body, being, a Taurus, which is about the embodied self. Now, your dreamscape at this time is going to be very active. In fact, for a lot of you, this has probably already started. Because we've got, like I said, you've already got Chiron there. You've already got, at this point, you'll have 5 energies in your 12th house, including Jupiter, which has been there for a little while now. The beauty of this is when Jupiter is in the 12th house, it really does act like a guardian angel. Jupiter in the 12th is true guardian angel energy. Okay, so this is great for you. Mercury there in a mutual reception to the ruler of this moon gives you an ability to take whatever messages come from the spirit realm and you put them into some kind of direct action here in the real world that potentially bring financial blessings, right? So you're literally, when I say pennies from heaven, there's a potential for this for you guys for sure. In a sextile to Pluto, the new moon is much more spiritual component for you than it does for most people, because the 12th house is the intangible of spirit. The 9th house is the house of God and the cosmos. So this is like your higher mind and your subconscious both connecting here in a sextile. So you are going to have to work this. You are going to have to pay attention. What are the dreams and the visions telling you? What does your gut tell you? What does your knowledge or your training within the spiritual realm tell you, right? You're going to have to do the work here. But if you do, I'm telling you, it will be amazing. New moons are really all about beginnings, but there's a gestation period where nothing kind of appears. It's like when you plant a seed for a little while, it kind of seems like not much is going on, right? And then bam, all of a sudden, you see some kind of growth. So use it or lose it. The square to Mars, so that mutual reception that's taking place between Mercury and Mars, it's pushing you to complete things now, right? It's pushing you to get rid of or to release things, especially around negative sense of self-worth, brushing aside the cobwebs of winter, welcoming in spring. It's really about this kind of, one of the things that I put here for you is seeing you change your mind about how you see yourself, and it has the most profound effect, right? And especially because it's Mars in Gemini, siblings could be helping with this. So a brother, a sister, or somebody that you consider those kinds of things could really be helping you reframe how you see yourself, and it just sees you like skyrocket. Your energy really elevates because of it. The sextile between Saturn and the North Node is happening between your 11th house and your first house, because the North Node is in Taurus at the moment. To say that your community or your people, your friends, the people that you really know are your people have you is an understatement. A deep conversation with a friend or a mentor or a coach could really open your mind to some of the bigger possibilities that are available if you're willing to work harder than ever. There's something that you're really willing to chase or to go after now that maybe you've been scared of having before. Maybe you didn't have the time, the effort. Maybe you just didn't have enough of a deadline, right? I know for me personally, sometimes when the deadline starts to loom, things just, I'm like, yeah, the more pressure, the more I can do. Your card, is the Eight of Pentacles. If there were ever work to be done, dear Taurus, now, right? It's time to get to work. And if we add this into it, a new figure of some sort, a new person of some sort is really going to help you kind of push it forward. All right. And then finally, last but definitely not least, because this is all about you, isn't everything? My dear Aries, it is you. Aries, this new moon is your new moon. You get one new moon, one full moon per sign per year. Although we are going to have like an Aries kind of amuse-bouche eclipse, right? We're going to have like a little flirtation of an Aries eclipse. So it'll be interesting to see how that shapes up. But this is a fresh start for you, right? Your body, your outlook, your mind. Mars is in Gemini at the moment, right? So, and you're the ruler of this new moon. So that mutual reception, I think, it's helping you find the words to help people see you exactly as you want to be seen. This is you really starting to understand, this is what I want people to know about me. And it's like for the first time, maybe in a while, because of all the, especially the stuff with the Neptune square, maybe you haven't been able to find it, but now you're able to find the words. Now you're really able to say, this is me, right? And these are all of the things that you haven't seen about me, that you haven't known about me. And by sharing this version of me or these things about me that you haven't seen, you get to understand where I'm going now because of everything that I've experienced. And with such a concentration in your sign of energies, right? The sun, the moon, Chiron, Jupiter, and Mercury, right? You are all there, right? Like all there. I love it. So with the sextile between Pluto and the new moon, that's happening between the 1st and the 10th house. Now, it is a dissociated sextile, right? But it means that your passionate need to get ahead is balanced with understanding that your people skills are and your ability to collaborate with others is really what's going to get you there. So you might also verbalize an innate fear that you are ready to kind of to share, maybe to say like, you know what, yes, I'm an Aries, yes, I'm a badass, yes, I can do this, this, and this, but actually there's this part of me that nobody ever really acknowledges, right? And that honesty, you finding the words and being able to say, well, this is how I actually really feel, it could just absolutely it could let people get a glimpse of you that they rarely do. with the square to Mars between the first house and the third house, again dissociated, but there's that mutual reception, which means that the words that you do find either don't sit right with somebody or there's a clash with a neighbor or a sibling. So, you know, the saying like you can't please all the people all the time, this is definitely that. All right. And it's kind of like you're just saying, you know what? I'm not worried about that anymore. Let me tell you who I am so that you have no illusions or allusions from anybody else. And whether you do or don't resonate with it or not, that's not on me. All I can do is clear the air by telling you who I actually am and the way that I really am. And you can make up your mind about how you do or don't feel about it. As it is a new moon, something being said clarifies how you move forward, no matter how it feels. So, you know, there could be some words that really set something new into motion, but it's like you're going with your head held high about how you've held yourself or conducted yourself. And then finally, with the Saturn sextile to the North Node between the 12th and the 2nd, Saturn exalts in the 12th house, right? So you've got Saturn in Pisces now, you've got it for the next 2.5 years. This is the best house placement for Saturn. It's, you know, Saturn exalts in the 12th. So aside from Libra, obviously, but Saturn does good work here. And so I think this is going to be really nice for you because it's like you're getting a glimpse at your self-sabotaging tendencies or nature when it comes to money or resources. And you're highlighting where you're ready to turn the material world. So it's kind of like, yeah, like maybe you're saying to yourself, okay, I see where maybe I misuse my money, my resources. When my self-worth dips, I start buying things or I start just, you know, going into my body and just being base level or whatever it might be. When actually I can bring myself back. And now that I see that, I can kind of step away from it. And so there's maybe a boost to the finances over the long term. Remember, it's Saturn, so it's going to come over the long term. You will have to work it. But there's definitely like an old way of making money or an opportunity that comes from a community link now comes back up, and it gives you a much more profound sense of appreciation for what you're able to create now and what you might be able to bring in for yourself later down the line. So your card is the Page of Swords. So for those of you that are hoping for new work or contracts, there's definitely interviews and the like coming up for you. Love this for you. I really, really do. The other thing with the Page of Swords as well, that is potentially harsh words or clashing words, but it's like, this isn't you arguing for the sake of it or Aries being Aries. This is you saying, no, for once I'm being deadly serious and actually let me set the record straight. Okay, so that is what I've got for you for this area of the new moon that happens on the 21st. So with that said, I wish you all an abundance of all of that good stuff. I love seeing you guys be so awesome to each other in the comments. You know, wishing each other congratulations and commiserations. For those of you that lost your cats, I'm really sorry to hear that. It's very sad. And I will say as well, for those of you that are celebrating Mother's Day here in the UK this weekend, to all of the mums out there, young and old, I send you so much love and thank you so much for giving us life, as only mothers can do, right? In all senses of the word, because it really is you guys that, you know, you give us life. Since though, it is an Aries new moon, I have to give a special shout out to my mama, who is a double Aries. And I also have to give a special shout out, because Aries is a masculine sign, to all of the awakened, enlivened, tapped in, switched on guys out there who make the world what it is, you know, who know what it is to stand in their power and know that not being this, that, or the other doesn't make them any less. So to all of my guys, especially my soul brother out there, Cav Guru, lovely to have you. Thank you all so much for being here. Happy St. Patrick's Day as well to those of you that are celebrating. Big love to all of you. Take care, and I will see you very, very soon. All right.